Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel, where today we are going to talk about my top 5 romance books that I am super excited to read. Now, this list was a little bit interesting to make first off because I did not realize how many romance books I actually have on my TBR shelf on Goodreads. There's a lot, and I did not realize this, so there's going to be a lot more romance next year, I think. Um, but also, when I looked at all of my possibilities, I realized that there's like three-ish books that I am really excited for, and everything else I'm interested in reading, but not that like super, oh my gosh, I have to read this soon kind of excitement. And so to kind of fill out my top 5, I looked at the ones that where I was like just interested in reading it, and I chose ones that for some reason just intrigue me. And so that is how I created my list. But let's first start with the 2 books that I found intriguing rather than like super exciting. And the first one is The Game Plan by Kristen Callihan. Now, this follows our main characters of Ethan, also known as Dex, and Fiona. And Dex is an NFL center whose whole life has pretty much been football, except he also decided that maybe it should be all about Fiona, except Fiona has never looked at him as anything other than, her brother-in-law's best friend, and so he's going to try to change that. So I found this intriguing because I like that setup, and it's a sports romance, and I think I really do like sports romances when they're good. And it's just the problem is finding a good one. And I think that this has the potential to be a good one. And the bonus is that if I like this, there's more in the series, including a couple books before this one. This is actually in the middle of the series, and I'm hoping it works out okay. um, but yeah, I'm hoping that this will be a good sports romance, and I get to have other sports romances in my future. The next book is Strangelove by Aguirre, and this follows our main characters of Xylar and Beryl. And so Xylar is an alien, and he's part of a race where you can enter the choosing for a total of 5 years, and that's where you find your mate. And if after 5 years you have not been chosen, you just don't get a mate. Now, Xylar is entering his last year of eligibility, and so he decides to use a matchmaking service, and then things just kind of go haywire. And from what I can infer from the description, Beryl is contacted, and she does not know why. But she's just like, I can roll with it, I guess. And so she decides to travel to join this choosing, and everything goes from there. And I think this just sounds so weird. And like, I've been reading more Aguirre, and like, even when I think something is maybe quality wise is not great, I still tend to really enjoy them. And this just has such a weird premise. I just want to see how it is. And so that's why I found it intriguing. So now let's talk about the books that I am excited for. And the very first one is The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. Now, as soon as like I first saw this, anybody talking about this, I was immediately hooked, and I was like, I have to read this book. And then everybody else kind of just piled on and was just like, it's like getting a big hug from your best friend. And I was like, but that's what I want from a romance. And so I really want to read this book. But for anybody that does not know, this is a romance between Arthur and Linus. Now, Linus is a caseworker, and he has been asked to go look into a children's home that is housing 6 dangerous and supernatural children. And Arthur is their caretaker. So Linus is doing this investigation while also falling in love with Arthur. You guys, I just so badly want to read this book. The next one is You Deserve Each Other by Sarah Hogle, and this follows our main characters of Naomi and Nicholas. Naomi and Nicholas are actually engaged. As Naomi kind of takes stock, she realizes that Nicholas is absolutely the perfect gentleman on paper, and she is utterly miserable. And so she decides that she's going to kind of maybe encourage him to break up with her, because if whoever does the breaking up of the engagement also has to foot the wedding bill, and she really doesn't want to do that. And she very quickly realizes that actually Nicholas is kind of doing the same thing to her. And so it just becomes an all-out war. And of course, the thing is, when you have nothing left to lose, you're much more likely to be yourself. And they find that maybe actually they still do love each other. And I'm so, I don't like, this is such an interesting concept, a lovers to enemies to lovers kind of story. I don't think I've ever seen it, and I'm so intrigued to see how this plays out. And if it works really well, I might see if there's other ones kind of like this, and maybe have a whole subgenre that I'm interested in. Maybe subgenre. I don't really know how to classify these things. But the last book that I am super interested in is You Had Me at Hola by Alexis Daria. And this features our main characters of Jasmine and Ashton. Now, Jasmine just had a very public, a very messy breakup with her boyfriend. And so she comes up with this plan where she is going to be the ultimate leading lady at her next telenovela. And it's going to get the tabloids off her back. And then enter Ashton, who's just been cast opposite her. And Ashton has a lot on the line as well, because his character just got killed off on his last novella. And also, like, this is his big opportunity to be put in front of an American audience. So he does not want to blow it. So much is riding on this particular role. And of course, immediately something happens where, like, it just kills the chemistry between the two. So they decide that they're going to rehearse their lines in private. And it goes exactly like you think it's going to go, right? And I have no idea what it is about this particular book, but it just screams at me that this is just going to be the absolute perfect book for me. And so I have very high hopes that it's going to be really good. But that is it, you guys. Let me know down below if you've read these. How do you feel about them? No spoilers, please, obviously, because I want to read them. But let me know what you think. But that's all I have. So until next time, guys, have happy reading, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.